Boy, howdy. Good afternoon. How's it going, everyone? It is yet another day in quarantine paradise. Yay! Oh my goodness. Well, I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone's staying safe, staying healthy while we're all locked down for COVID-19. Oh my goodness. After the shenanigans yesterday, I gotta say, like, if anybody stuck through that stream yesterday, oh my gosh, I really apologize about that. Just seemed like everything was going wrong yesterday. So hopefully everything's working out a little bit better today. Not gonna try to get food delivered much anymore, I don't think. So today, now I noticed that these were at the store. These are Private Selection brand, which is just Kroger's like kind of high-end store brand. And I thought that these cookies looked pretty great. So I thought it'd be cool to try them with you guys, let you know what I think. And after yesterday's not really eating a whole lot and only drinking some alcohol, even though it wasn't too much alcohol, I just felt terrible the rest of the day. So, oh my gosh. It was really, really terrible. And yeah, I can't hold my alcohol at all, so I've been dragging all day, which happens anytime I drink, even a little bit. I just tend to feel a little bit under the weather the next day. So I wanted to get my fluids up, get all my micronutrients and everything like that with a nice green smoothie. And of course, try some awesome cookies. Let's see, who have you got in the chat already? AJAT asks if I ever got justice over the missing tacos. You know, I went to Twitter, I called out Taco Time, even though it wasn't their fault that I didn't get any tacos. I'm sure Taco Time made some amazing tacos, but that delivery man, Jonathan, I'm going to call it Jonathan with DoorDash. You're working for DoorDash, and you have one job, which is to drive tacos from Taco Time to my house, and somehow they got lost in between. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of justice. DoorDash seems to be very difficult to get a hold of. Taco Time saw that I posted on Twitter about it, and they reached out and they said that they would do whatever they could to make things right. So it's great for Taco Time. Haven't done anything about it yet, but hopefully something will get resolved, because I paid a non-trivial amount of money for a pile of tacos, and I ended up with nothing, which is a real drag. But let's not dwell on tacos and the past. Instead, let's dwell on some salted caramel pretzel cookies, which is something that I have never even heard of. Sound absolutely delicious to me, so... Oh my gosh. Whew. Looks like we have somebody else in the chat asking about yesterday. I got Psychotextual. I don't know what kind of name that is, but awesome to see you in the chat, man. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining the live stream. It says, hello from Peru. Well, that's awesome. Cool. Peru always seems like a really cool country, in my opinion. What is that? The west coast of South America, some cool mountains and everything like that. I always thought it'd be cool to visit Peru, so I hope you're doing well down in South America and in Peru. Eric Gunnarsson says, "Good day, Steve. Any tequila in today's lunch?" No. I think even after only like 2 drinks, I guess it was on an empty stomach, and I ended up not eating a whole lot for the rest of the day. Yeah, just 2 drinks just took me out, and I was completely unproductive for the rest of the day. Like, I couldn't think straight. Sam M says, I need to know how you're not fat. Yeah, if anybody's here for the clickbait title, I promise I'll get to it. But first, let's try to fight being too fat with some cookies by making myself a little bit fatter, because why not? This is a very strange, like, tray that they have these things in. So I've got two kinds of cookies here, brown butter toffee and salted caramel pretzel. Ah, these things do not open easily. If there are any Kroger representatives in the stream, let it be known that I do like Kroger store brand products. I think they're some of the best store brand products out there, but maybe make them a little bit easier to get open. Okay, what do we have here? Brown butter toffee and salted caramel pretzel cookies. Ooh. Nice and chewy. I don't know where the salted caramel is coming from, but yeah, really chewy. Very nice texture on the cookies. A little bit of crunch from whatever that is inside of there. Maybe they're caramel bits or something. I love those. Those are very good. Oh my gosh. I've been super thirsty all morning. So I've been drinking a lot. But that always happens after drinking a little bit. Psychotextual, you ask how many calories do I eat in a no-calorie day? And what days do you do your cheat days? On a no-calorie day, presumably you'd eat no calories. I don't even know what that question is. And cheat days, I don't really have cheat days, man. I don't bother with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't. I think there's a lot of dogmatism out there about calorie counting and being really strict with your diet. With the what is it? If it fits your macros, kind of dieting out there, like tracking things that you eat. And I'm not a really big fan of that. I feel like a lot of people think that diet and weight loss comes down to calories in, calories out, which is like, it's a bit of a tautology. You know, a calorie deficit and weight loss are the same thing. So trying to go about weight loss through a calorie deficit is like, that's yeah, it's a tautology. You're not getting at it very yeah, you're not getting a weight loss very effectively. It's kind of like saying that the best way to make money and to get rich is to make sure that more money is going into your bank account than is coming out of your bank account. You know, it's like, it's technically true, but it's also completely worthless advice. So wow, that brown butter toffee cookie is really, really good. Very sweet, very buttery flavor. I think that is definitely my favorite of the two. These are not exactly as pronounced a flavor as I was expecting them to be, but they're still pretty good prepackaged cookies. Okay, so if anybody clicked on this for the title, of course, I'm going to tell you, like, the number one thing that I think affects weight loss for a lot of people, and this doesn't affect weight loss for everyone, and it is associated with what was going on yesterday. If you were in the stream yesterday, you may know that I didn't have any solid food to eat. All I had was tequila and orange juice, and that was about it. Making some poor man's, what were they? Poor man's margaritas? I guess so. Margaritas, I believe, are typically like, what is it? Tequila, triple sec, and lime juice. And triple sec is basically like an orange liqueur. So I didn't have any of that, so I just went with some orange juice. And unfortunately, alcohol, even though it is a super popular thing, like, it affects your weight loss and your weight metabolism, or your general metabolism, energy metabolism, I should say, in a lot of really profound ways. So if you've been here sitting here listening to me ramble for 10 minutes, I'll say that my number one tip for weight loss is to stop drinking alcohol. Don't drink alcohol. and you will lose weight, like guaranteed. If you go back to thinking about that equation, which I said is not really a great way of directly trying to lose weight, which is the calories in, calories out equation, you'll see that any good way to lose weight does incorporate that calorie balance in some way or another, just typically not as directly as just like if it fits your macros kind of thing. So if you think about alcohol, first of all, you have your macronutrients, your carbs, fats, and proteins. That's where you get all your calories, most of your calories anyway. Now, carbohydrate and protein, you can metabolize for about 4 calories of energy per gram of carbs and protein, and you get about 9 calories per gram of fat. Now, alcohol, ethanol, you actually metabolize for 7 grams of calories, or I'm sorry, 7 calories per gram of ethanol or alcohol, which is why, beer and wine and hard liquor are such high calorie beverages, even though they typically don't have a whole lot of, or I should say, even if they don't have a whole lot of other macronutrients in them. And on top of that, so you're not only getting quite a big load of calories, like almost as many calories per gram as from fat, from alcohol, but on top of that, drinking alcohol is, how should I say? It's like your body has this preferential hierarchy of where it's going to get its energy. So if you're, if you eat a Snickers bar or, eat something that's really sugary and you launch your blood sugar way up high, then what happens is, your body says, oh, there's a really high availability of sugar, so I'm going to burn all that for energy. But if you don't eat a lot of carbohydrate and you don't have as high an availability of carbohydrate, then your body's going to switch over to burning more fat and stuff like that. So I think that's fairly well known nowadays. I think that kind of low carb and ketosis and aerobic metabolism is a little bit more well known nowadays than it used to be. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if you have alcohol in your system, like your body is going to burn that alcohol preferentially before anything else. And it's going to stick like that for like a day. And it does affect your metabolism for about 24 hours after you drink alcohol. But I need more cookies in my bloodstream so I can burn cookies for energy. Oh my gosh. So yeah, not only does alcohol have a ton of calories, and when you do drink alcohol, your body's going to preferentially burn that alcohol for calories, which then, of course, stops fat burning, stops lipolysis, so it stops weight loss. And like the triple whammy, this triple trifecta of just hurting everything, is that your body is really terrible at burning alcohol for food. Like, it is super bad. If you eat something with lots of sugar, like I said, you're going to feel great because the human body is great at burning carbohydrate. It is so good at burning carbs. You can burn carbs like nobody's business. And that's why, when you eat something carb rich, you feel super energetic and great and everything's happy and yeah. But unfortunately, if you do have ethanol in your bloodstream, it reduces your total calorie output and your total energy consumption by like 25%. So you've got this triple whammy of you're burning alcohol and ethanol, not fat. You got a huge calorie load, so you're adding to your adipose tissue, to your energy stores, and you're reducing your total energy output. So, if you're the kind of person who drinks regularly, and you've got a couple of extra pounds, if you stop drinking, you will lose weight, like without even trying. It's ridiculous. So yeah. Yesterday, I think that was the first drink that I had for 2020, the entire year. So I drink almost nothing when it comes to alcohol, stuff like that. Let's see. We got some folks with some opinions in the comments. Eric Gunnarsson says, that's one green one you have there. I assume that's... Yep. My green drink. Lots of spinach. Some frozen fruit. And it's pretty delicious stuff. MJC says, reduce carbs to lower insulin. Well, insulin is an interesting hormone. There's a lot to insulin. In fact, I think most endocrinologists typically specialize in studying insulin because it is a hormone that like affects everything. And your body can actually produce insulin from either carbohydrate or amino acids. So it's kind of interesting that like an increased level of branched chain amino acids is associated with increased incidences of type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. So lowering carbs to lower insulin, like that's a very, very small piece of a very large puzzle right there. Sam M says, I actually didn't even see the title when I asked this. Haha. I watched your video where you took down like 75 Hostess snacks and was curious since then how you don't gain weight. Good tips though. Well, you came in the right day, bud. Bar Downs Fitness says, dude got some food, lol. Hi from Frederic from Ottawa. Good to see you, Bar Downs, and hello from Frederic, if he happens to be in the room or anything along those lines. I can't actually see everybody who's watching right now, so only folks who comment. I can see you guys' names. Eric Gunnarsson says, another tip for weight loss: eat like a fly, shit like a horse. I guess. I mean, it sounds a little bit like laxative abuse bulimia, but okay. That might be like some transient weight loss if you're like desperate to drop 2 pounds immediately. AJAT says, I switched over to Gatorade Zero about a year ago. Regular Gatorade per bottle is 35 grams of sugar. Low sugar Gatorade is 12 grams. The only problem is that the berry flavor isn't available in packs of 6. Yeah, I guess if you if you're the kind of person who doesn't typically read labels, then like sometimes a lot of people don't realize how many calories you can get from a lot of these hidden sources. Now like Gatorade, super popular sports drink for exercise, stuff like that. And I've basically like turned off of high glycemic sugars for exercise and training and stuff like that. I figure if I need, if I absolutely need high glycemic sugar, even to get myself going to exercise, like that's a pretty good sign that I'm probably too tired and I shouldn't be training too hard that day anyway. So that's why I typically use those low glycemic carbs like Generation UCAN when I'm out training, stuff like that. And I have noticed that I've also taken the philosophy of train low, perform high, where, if you're training with low glycemic carbs and then on race day you bust out the energy gels and stuff like that, it's like your body soaks that up like nobody's business, and it's just like rocket fuel. It's pretty incredible. Sam M says, I'm skinny myself. Key for me is fast in the first part of the day. Intermittent fasting. Seems to be a super popular thing. Lots of interesting stuff. Frederic says, question for you, Steve. Is there any particular reason you are against artificial sweeteners? There's a lot of, I think when most people poo-poo, artificial sweeteners, and a lot of people say that artificial sweeteners are fine, they tend to look at older research that tried to link sucralose and other artificial sweeteners to cancer. And, they'll say like, well, of course, they're associated with cancer. But then on the other hand, they'll say that the amount of aspartame or sucralose that was required to produce cancer in the subjects, which I think it was only the studies were only done with lab mice. So that's another thing. It's like you can just blow those off. It's interesting. It's academic, but probably not super applicable. But yeah, I mean, they're old. I think that newer studies have come about, newer understanding of the effects of sucralose, aspartame, acetylflammate potassium, which is a mouthful, and sodium saccharin have come about in the last couple of years. I should say in maybe like the last 2 decades. Mainly it's because in the last 2 decades is when people have started to accept the idea that there's this thing, that good bacteria is something that's actually important. And people started to realize that antibiotics and using those really pervasively probably isn't a good idea. So it turns out that artificial sweeteners are they're like antibiotics. Like, they will kill a lot of your gut flora and the bacteria sitting in your gut. So, I decided to try cutting them out of my diet for a while. And after about a week, I gotta say, sucralose, if sucralose somehow sneaks into my diet somehow, I notice like a little bit of a stomach upset, and I'm not quite as like regular as I usually am, if you guys know what I mean. But other than that, not a big deal. And the same with Ace K. I think it was saccharin. Sodium saccharin and sucralose seem to be pretty, they affect me a little bit, but not a whole lot. But when I cut out Ace K and aspartame, especially aspartame, oh my goodness. When I cut out aspartame, that was like a night and day difference. That was like living my entire life wearing a 50-pound weighted vest. And then I cut out aspartame from my diet. And it was like taking that 50-pound vest off. Like, I just felt incredible. Just all of a sudden, I was hitting new records in the gym. Just every day. Felt amazing. And I mean, I think there's a reason that aspartame is illegal in a lot of European countries. Like, it's it's just horrible for you. For the other 3, but yeah, like, I cut them out. I felt a non-trivial difference when I cut out all 4 of those artificial sweeteners. So I've just like never gone back on the bandwagon of using them, because like the only reason that you would use an artificial sweetener is to cover up the flavor of something. And if you need to cover up the flavor of something, then it's like, why are you having that in the first place? That's just kind of like you're eating just for enjoyment and just for entertainment. And well, I do a lot of that, but when I do, like, I just take the calorie hit. I don't need to eat for entertainment all the time. If I'm thirsty, I don't need to have a diet soda. I can just have a regular water. And if I'm not so thirsty that I want to drink regular water, then I'm probably not that thirsty at all. So yeah, artificial sweeteners, I think that they have no benefit, and they have obvious cons to them. Now, stevia and how do you say it? Lohan Go, something like that. Monk fruit sweeteners seem to be all right, and the sugar alcohols seem to be hit and miss. Like, there's a couple of sugar alcohols that are pretty bad, but like erythritol doesn't seem to affect anybody. Xylitol can be hit and miss for a lot of people, I know. Xylitol seems to be okay on my stomach, but erythritol seems to be the best like sugar substitute if you want something that's as close to sugar as possible without having that like super high sweetener effect that you'd get with something like an artificial sweetener. Sam, you say you 100% agree on alcohol. Yeah, alcohol is bad news. Like, it baffles me how much like people just are so blasé about alcohol. And anybody who would decry that sentiment, say like, oh, but red wine is good. No, it isn't. Oh, it's so bogus. I mean, red wine is... If you like red wine, drink it because you enjoy it. Don't drink it because you think it's doing anything for your health. Oh my goodness. I could definitely go into the French paradox and how the idea that red wine is good for your health is completely bogus. Frederic says also, do you fast during the weekend? You're looking shredded, man. Well, thanks, dude. No, I don't do much fasting. I work out frequently enough that, like, I find that if I don't if I do fast for a day, then it does affect me, like emotionally, and I really enjoy working out. So yeah, I do that, and also because I do the competitive eating, I'm eating like high glycemic stuff fairly frequently. Like if I wasn't a competitive eater and doing this every day, then I would probably be on a much lower carbohydrate diet, just because I have more even energy levels, and that would be more conducive of intermittent fasting. But if you try intermittent fasting with the occasional high glycemic treat, it just doesn't mix at all. Yeah, I mean your energy levels are tanked. um, oh, Frederick, you say you'll just rewatch the video afterwards. Well, there you go. You got my answer. Let's see. Memers. Hello, how are you? Asks an interesting question. Asks if I've ever broken a bone before. I've broken a couple of bones. Um, most of the times that I've broken bones is pretty uninteresting. I guess I did fall off of a skateboard when I was skateboarding when I was a kid. Got a nice green stitch fracture in my arm, which was really lame. No, I think the most interesting story about that is when I broke my heel during a marathon and then finished the marathon and then kept training afterwards with a broken heel. Of course, I wasn't running, but I had my cast and I was training in the pool hours every day. Kept training because I was doing an Ironman triathlon 4 months later. Oh my goodness, that was horrendous. In retrospect, I definitely should have just thrown in the towel and canceled my registration with that triathlon. Oh my gosh. AJAT says I don't drink or smoke. Straight edge. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to it, man. Like I understand that it's something that a lot of people enjoy, and if you do enjoy it, then go ahead and enjoy it. But like, don't think that you're doing yourself any favors for it. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Crouching Biger. Hello, welcome to the chat. Says I don't know if you discussed it yet, but tracking apps like MyFitnessPal can be very helpful and informative. Well, if you feel like that, maybe you don't want to watch the first half of this video. Okay, Frederick said, thanks so much, Steve. Lots of value. I've also read that about artificial sweeteners such as sucralose and aspartame affect gut flora. I'll give this a try. Yeah, I mean, anybody who's curious about it, like, you got to go off of artificial sweeteners for about a week to feel the difference. But yeah, like, you just feel fantastic. And it kind of sucks. Like, I remember when I gave up aspartame, I gave up my precious diet sodas. That was definitely the hardest thing for me to give up. But eventually I realized that the only reason that I liked those things was just out of habit. Like I didn't actually get derive much enjoyment out of it. It was just like, oh, it's 2 p.m. I'm going to get my Diet Coke or whatever. It was pretty bad. Memers asks, I seem to keep missing the beginning of your live streams. What time do you usually start? It's always sometime between noon and 12:30, but it's kind of hit and miss. Let's see. Now, before this, I was doing a little bit of research. Anybody who's not familiar with NCBI, it's the National Center for Biotechnology Information. This is a really great website for getting the latest on different medical topics and things like that. The NIH, PubMed, I mean, they're all great sources for these kinds of things. And you can search for different topics. So I pulled up this research paper about alcohol consumption. And they have a lot of really cool, in this particular research paper, lots of cool information about some reviews on the effects of ethanol and lipid metabolism, which is, as a matter of fact, the title of this research paper. So it says lots of cool stuff, like basically if you do drink alcohol, then your body has a propensity to store it as lipids. Or, am I bleeding? I thought I tasted some blood, like I bit my lip or something, but maybe not. But anyway, so this research paper is pretty interesting. It looks at basically force feeding rats, and I think that they had even done it with some baboons, and seeing the effects of different diets along with alcohol consumption on lipid accumulation in the body, mainly in the liver, because when you think of alcohol, you tend to think of fatty liver. So no surprise that when you increase your consumption of alcohol, there was also this increase in lipid accumulation. But they saw that increase in lipid accumulation was across the board, no matter what was happening elsewhere with the diet. So like alcohol definitely does increase your lipid accumulation. So for example, here we have an increase of supply of lipids from the small intestine. After consumption of ethanol for several days with diets containing a characteristic fatty acid consumption, the fatty acids accumulated in the liver derived primarily from dietary fats. Acute alcoholic fatty liver is exaggerated by oral administration of fat and diminished by diversion of lymph-carrying lipids from the intestines. As emphasized before, after the chronic alcohol feeding, the degree of hepatic lipid accumulation is also influenced by the fat content of the diet. However, even the restriction of dietary fat, I think this is the most important part, even the restriction of dietary fat to only required essential fatty acids does not fully prevent the development of ethanol-induced fatty liver. So I mean, right there, like if you drink alcohol, you're going to get fat. That's basically what that's saying. I did crawl through a lot more of this paper. It is not a short paper, so I don't expect lots of folks would be into reading it. But in case you're ever wondering how bodybuilders and people like me and freak athletes learn all this stuff, it's basically like we enjoy reading all this stuff, going through research papers, that kind of thing. Well, I didn't eat quite as many cookies as I was thinking I would, but like I said, I was really dragging this morning. Didn't feel like I had a ton of energy, so I didn't get in a great workout. So I'm probably not as, as hungry as I usually am at this time of day. As per usual, thank you guys for joining me for this live stream. I hope you guys found it informative. I hope you guys learned something. While we're all stuck inside, might as well grow that noodle. Best muscle in the body to flex. Muscle is the brain muscle. All right, guys. I'm going to enjoy some of these cookies, probably a little bit slower, maybe not all the cookies today, but I hope everybody's staying inside, staying safe, staying healthy, staying hungry, and until next time, presumably until tomorrow, till around this time tomorrow, I'll catch you guys later. You have a good one.